This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
Sorry, I'm getting a little caught up in there. But that's great, Kurt. You know, so you have the title here. On SmackDown tapings, you're usually working twice back to back in the main event for TV and then the dark match after the show. 2 matches a night are not helping you at this point at all, are they, Kurt?
No, it was really tough. But, you know, usually I would main event the SmackDown episode and, go 15 or 20 minutes. And then afterward, it was basically usually a tag match or a 6-man tag. So you didn't have to put in too much work. But, the less bumps I took, the better off I was. Unfortunately, I didn't know how to back off. I didn't know how to not go anything but 120% all the time. That's the way I've always been and always continued to be. So that, I found myself in a little bit of turmoil because I kept racking up injuries more and more because of my style of wrestling.
Is there anyone, Kurt, in the back, a confidant, a friend, someone that you feel like you can kind of talk to about? You mentioned at the top of the show, you're dealing with all this other stuff at home life and 12. Is there anybody that you have in the locker room that you feel like you can kind of talk to about all this that's going on with you?
No, I didn't open up to any of my friends. I wish I would have. I think that things would have been different for me. I think that I wouldn't have had the difficult year in 2006 if I would have spoke to somebody and communicated about my marital problems, about my injuries, about my painkiller problem. But I kept it inside. I didn't want anybody to know. That was that's how I felt I had what I had to do.
Yeah.
And, unfortunately, I wish I would have reached out to somebody.
Understand. Well, you do 30 minutes with Taker at No Way Out, which we covered in the archives, you and Conrad did, so be sure to check it out. But man, Kurt, the reason I bring up this time is on February 19th, which is No Way Out, you and Taker go 30. Then on a SmackDown taping on February 27th, you and Taker go another almost 30. I'm sure you're like, what the hell? If I can do whatever, I'm a machine. But Kurt, my goodness, you're going through the ringer here at this point.
Yeah, I put myself through the ringer at the worst possible time, especially with having 4 cracked vertebrae in my neck. And my body was giving away. I had a lot of injuries in my career, but 2006 was a really brutal year for me.
Then again, you're on another international tour, okay? We've talked Mexico, we've talked Japan. Now you're going to Australia and then New Zealand. So these long plane rides can't be helping either. They can't be helping your body heal. Nobody wants to be cramped up on a plane dealing with all this.
No, it's difficult. You're changing time zones. You're not getting much sleep. You're not able to get comfortable. It's really tough to travel all these different dates and so close together. We were traveling international that year quite a bit. Every couple of weeks we were going somewhere, and it was really brutal. It was a very difficult time in my life because all that travel was just so much wear and tear on my body and my mind.
Well, wear and tear on your body, your mind. You mentioned you were having some marital problems. It can't help when you're out of the country half the time either. So lots going on here, Kurt. We're finally back to America. The final build to WrestleMania begins, which we've also covered in the archives in the past. And you dropped the World Heavyweight title to Rey Mysterio in a 3-way with Randy Orton. Are you looking forward to hopefully some time off, a break? Are you scheduled to go on the usual European tour afterwards? What's that look like after this WrestleMania?
Well, I still went on a European tour, so I didn't take a break. Didn't really need one at that particular time, even though my neck was had 4 cracked vertebrae. I was wrestling through that injury, and I was okay with that. But eventually, some things would happen down the road where I got really badly injured, and I had to make a decision. We'll talk about that in a few minutes.
Sure, understood. But here we go. There's a lot of travel, Kurt, right? So we just talked about Mexico. Now you're off to Japan. How's your body holding up in the middle of February at this point?
Well, I broke my neck against Mark Henry in that match at the pay-per-view. So I cracked 4 vertebrae in my neck, but the discs were still intact. So there wasn't any problem with my discs. So my doctor said, hey, you can still wrestle, which was crazy. You know, you can't do that today.
No way.
I can get away with it. But he said you could still wrestle, just take it easy. Of course, I didn't take it easy, but I broke my neck and with Mark Henry, and I had to continue on from there. And I was struggling.
Do you remember this? Was it a specific move? Do you remember what happened in that match to cause your neck
No, I just had a lot of sharp pains going down my spine, down my arms, and I knew something was wrong. So I went to my doctor. He gave me an X-ray, found out that I had 4 cracked vertebrae. That's the 5th time I broke my neck. I had horrible luck with my neck.
My goodness, Kurt. Unbelievable. So here you are, major injury again. With you switching to SmackDown, were you told your title reign was going to be short and you were going to be used as a Band-Aid, or are you not given that information? Did you have any idea on the longevity of this?
I wasn't given the information. I don't know if they knew what they wanted to do yet.
Okay.
I know that right around this time, you know, maybe a little bit earlier, Eddie passed away. And I know that they were starting to get ready to have plans to have a remembrance for Eddie where Rey Mysterio won the world title. And so that's the direction they went. They probably changed course because of Eddie passing away. So I believe that's why they did that. So I was basically a transitional champion, which I took a lot of pride in because my last 5 title runs. None of them were very long. I was there to make other talent. That was my job. My only long title reign was my first title reign, my rookie year, which lasted 6 months. But other than that, I was pretty much a transitional champion, which I didn't mind. I mean, what I was best at was making the upcoming younger talent.
Well, that, and it shows the level of confidence they have you and your ability to want to keep putting the title on you to then work with that younger talent. So the fact that they see you as, hey, he's still the man. He's a main event player. We can count on him. He brings credence and credibility to the title. And yes, he's going to help get that young talent over. But when Kurt Angle has the title, nobody's going to question why he has the title, which I think is pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
Well, Kurt, as we talk through this, I think it's been easy so far for the listeners of the Kurt Angle Show to see how this kind of perfect storm all came together. Because guess what? Now you're off to Europe. You go to Italy. You go to England. And on a SmackDown taping in London, you and Rey Mysterio Jr. have a match that ends with Mark Henry interfering, and he splashes you through the announce table. Any memories of this?
Yes, I actually injured my ribs on that splash. Mark Henry's a big dude.
My goodness.
He splashed you through a table and you hit the concrete floor. You know, with Mark Henry, 350 pounds on you, it's going to hurt. And I ended up injuring my ribs.
So there we go. Let's add another injury to the list of this 2006 for Kurt Angle. You're off to Germany and then Ireland. But when you return to the States, it's announced you were injured for Mark Henry and unable to compete in the King of the Ring semifinals against Booker T. Were you finally getting some time off that you needed?
Yes. I got a couple weeks off, which was really cool. And I needed that particular time, especially not just my ribs, but a couple of weeks of my neck healing without any bumps. Really helped mend it together a lot quicker.
Well, looking back at it now in retrospect, as we do armchair quarterback, it would have been better if they could have kept you off for even a little bit longer, I think, especially with all you were dealing with, especially when you talk about a neck injury. I mean, that's nothing to mess with. If anyone, you know, when you talk about breaking your neck and going through some of what you're dealing with, it's not going to be easy for anybody to kind of handle that perfectly well, if you will. We're going to talk about that today. You were with the company at this point on the main roster full-time for 7 years. You've gone through, as you said, multiple neck surgeries and treatments, various injuries, and you've talked about the strain on your body. When this episode is over, I know that's going to be the theme, but I have to ask you, when you joined the WWF in 1998, did you ever imagine the physicality of making the switch from amateur to professional wrestling?
I didn't imagine it would be this brutal. This is the hardest thing I ever had to do. Transitioning from amateur wrestling to pro wrestling. Remember, amateur wrestling is one of the most injury-prone sports there is. I've been injured more in WWE and TNA than I ever was in my whole career of amateur wrestling. It is a brutal form of sport. It takes a lot of punishment on your body. It's the toughest thing I ever had to do. It's the real deal.
You know, and it makes me think too about those naysayers that say, "Oh, it's fake. That doesn't hurt." And you're living proof of it. Oh, yes, it does hurt, and things can happen and go wrong, and they do.
Yeah, a lot of things do go wrong, and that's part of the sport. That's something you have to accept when you get into it.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at savewithconrad.com.